نقع كثيرا في سوء الأدب، يعني مع الله عز وجل، مع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم، مع آبائنا أمهاتنا، مع المعلم. إذا طالب المادة صعبة قاعد يقول والله المدرس ما يعرف يشرح، سوء أدب. سبحان الله، سوء أدب مع الله في الكون. الجو حار، الجو بارد، مع أنه في الظاهر أنت تصف حالة الطقس. من حيث الظاهر أنك تصف حالة. إيش اليوم شديد الحرارة، في مشكلة؟ ما في مشكلة، أنت تصف حالة. لكن في المنهج الذي درسناه هذا سوء أدب، لأن الطقس والجو كله مخلوقات الله عز وجل.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
فإما أن تقول خيرا أو تصمت. أدب مع الله عز وجل. وصمتك لا يدل على أنك عندك أدب، ولكن يعني
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
أهون من الذي يسيء. يعني كففت عن لسانك. لكن المؤمن، شوف الله عز وجل في سورة النحل حينما ذكر حالة المتقين، تمام، تسأل الملائكة
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. We apologize, there was a setup delay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So even if I am not capable of changing my heart, but I am capable of controlling my tongue, even if my inwards is the opposite. Is this considered a lie? No, it's not considered a lie. It's like how the Prophet ﷺ said about the devil, the jinn, that he said the truth even though he's a liar. The words that you said are true even though your inwards are lies. So return to reproachment of yourself. So he said, the one who reproaches himself for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, then Allah Azza wa Jal boasts about him and says, look at my slave, he reproaches and blames himself for my sake. So Allah praises you and then he does not leave you. How can he praise you and then leave you? He will save you. So return to reproaching yourself. He then says that so know that every creation, you and I, we know ourselves. Don't go into circles. Maybe you can fool other people and trick other people, but we can't fool yourself, because Allah says truly a person is aware of himself. So this is why the first witnessing is the witnessing of oneself, and witnessing your eyes and your hands and your tongue. Allah says in the Quran, today we will seal over their tongues and their eyes, and they will speak. Meaning your tongue, your eyes, your hands will speak. They will be your first witnesses on the Day of Judgment. This is why Allah described the disbelievers saying that they would say to their skins, why are you being witnesses against us? Because of the severity and the immensity and the greatness of what they hear from their own hands, because Allah will seal their mouths and their hands will speak and their feet will bear witness to what they did. So we ask Allah that He makes us enter paradise without any judgment. And know that for the people of knowledge, the attributes of sincerity, the attributes of those who are sincere will never be lost to those possessing true knowledge. They say that sincerity is that you don't have any desire except a reward from Allah, or is good pleasure, ridwan. And what is more greater than that is to be firm on that, to be consistent on that. And the highest levels of sincerity is to seek Allah's good pleasure. True. For it is true that praise and criticism is same for you. It's not in all situations. They say a fool is the one who doesn't care about what people think. Is he considered sincere? No. Even though for him, the one who praises him and criticizes him is same, but he's a fool. The people tell him, "You're a fool. You're a profane person. You're a vile person." He says, "I don't care." But he's not considered sincere. A sincere person is the one who seeks Allah's good pleasure, and what is greater than that is the one who is firm, consistent, who's steadfast. So the one who is steadfast in his sincerity, in seeking sincerity, he is called what? What is he called? The one who is true, a sadiq. He is true in his intention. He was true in his intention. Whatever changes are in his situation, he remained steadfast. We ask Allah that He grants us steadfastness and truthfulness with Him outwardly and inward. This is not something that is difficult. Why is it difficult? Because Allah Azza wa Jal why is it not difficult? Because Allah has made us responsible for this, and whatever Allah has given us as a responsibility is not something that's difficult. Why are we not true? Because of one simple reason: because we don't think. If we were to really seriously think that why am I not doing it for Allah, aren't you certain that Allah Azza wa Jal, He is the one who arranges the affairs, who is the one who's a creator? Then be firm and steadfast on this foundation. Note that every idea has an associated etiquette, and in every parable there is a clear knowledge. Individuals able to discern this truth are those who understand what Allah desires and are able to harvest the fruits of certainty from His scriptures. Know that whatever we're reading, He keeps saying wa'alam, meaning know. So we're entering into sciences upon sciences upon sciences. So above every knowledgeable person, there's the one who's more knowledgeable. So what is known is that in every sentence there is a knowledge, there is an information, there's a science. But he's saying a thought, or an idea. He says then in every idea has an associated etiquette. So these words are actually very deep and very precise, and they are compact, and we need to simplify them a bit. So from the meanings that we can take here is that that there's no person, whether a Muslim or disbeliever, he must have an idea. Do you know that this thought, in this thought you need to have etiquettes before Allah Azza wa Jal? do we take into account the thoughts that we have? In Sharia, no. What you speak to yourself about, but if any one of us were to think about sin, even though he hasn't thought about sin, he's sitting in his house thinking about sin. Habib will give an example. A person, for instance, is upset with his uncle or his aunt, or a child is upset with his father. He can't go and speak back, but he's thinking about hitting his dad, or he's thinking about hitting his teacher, for instance, or he's thinking about he enters into his manager's office and smashes him, and he's thinking and imagining all of these things, and he's enjoying these thoughts, but he's not capable of doing it in apparent, but inwardly he's thinking, and he's imagining having an RPG and gunning down. He's having an action film running in his mind. This thought in the apparent form, will it be written in his book of deeds? Because the angels only know what you do. But this thought, the angels don't know. And if you assume they don't write in the book of deeds, even the manager, this poor manager doesn't even know your negative thoughts, but the one who knows these thoughts is Allah Azza wa Jal. So it is bad etiquette to think about that which does not please Allah Azza wa Jal. So for this reason, this knowledge is telling us that we should have etiquette with Allah even in our thoughts. So where do we reach? So that your outward and inward is a pure, sincere slave of Allah. So preparation of death is to return to Allah as a slave the way He created you. So your life of 60-70 years is to return to Allah as Allah created him, the fitrah, the primordial state in which Allah created you. You return back to Allah in that state. He with a pure thought, with an innocent thought, with no enmity, with no vengeance. Even someone can say, I haven't hurted anyone, but he has with his thoughts. So for this reason, we have learned from our teachers that we don't think, we don't have thoughts, or we don't think about things that upset or anger Allah. So we struggle and strive in doing this. Is that enough? No, we think think about obedience to Allah, how to obey and worship Allah. This is a good level, but is that enough? No. What is greater than that is to think about what will make Allah be pleased with you. And Habib will give you 2 examples, and you be the judge. A person, or you have two children or 2 daughters. One of them thinks how to get over, how to get done with your orders, while the other one is thinking about how to please you. You don't hear these thoughts in their minds, but if these thoughts become apparent to you, who will be more beloved to you? The one who thinks about how to please you, obviously. And the other person, the other one will be reproached even if he doesn't act upon his thoughts. So for this reason, you think about how to please Allah Azza wa Jal. So this thought is something that Allah loves, and this is what is meant by etiquettes. So they say how many or how often, or how often does a person is a person or is very often brought near to Allah by merely having good etiquettes. You might find a simple person from the common folk, but he's from those who are brought near to Allah because of his good manners and etiquettes, even in his thoughts. So this is why we're taught from our teachers that the highest meaning of or highest level or highest types or the most pristine types of thoughts are to think about how to serve the Prophet ﷺ. You say, oh Allah, I want to serve the Prophet ﷺ in a way that no one before me has done. Allah, this, just merely having this thought will elevate you. But you need to be true in these thoughts, not just having daydreams, but you try to be true in these thoughts. Like how Habib mentioned that if you want to make wudu, then make wudu, but think about how to please Allah while you're making wudu before you start your wudu. So when you're going to make wudu, you say, oh Allah, help me. The prayer is being set up. You think, how can I pray a prayer that will please my Lord? This thought alone will elevate you, will make you be selected. As for the one who doesn't think, he just wants to pray and get done, and then he's saying to himself, I want to pray so that Allah does not take me into account. And he's saying, oh Allah, your place with me is not a place of love or something like that. I just want to get it done with. These people, such people, Allah will not speak to them. While there's another person, Allah will not just speak to him, He will welcome him. He will say, Marhaba, how good of a servant you are. The angels will welcome you. The heavens will welcome you. The spirits will welcome you. The prophets will welcome. The paradise will welcome you. The doors will open up for you. Is a great difference between the two. Know that every idea has an associated etiquette. So the one who thinks of disobeying Allah, we say to them, how, oh, one with no etiquettes. And similarly, the one who thinks negatively about his sheikh, he says, my sheikh loves to eat, or he loves the dunya, or this sheikh doesn't know anything, or this sheikh, he thinks negatively about his brothers and his neighbors. He thinks all these are negative thoughts. They lead to one being distanced. I ask Allah to protect us from that. And know that in every parable there is a clear knowledge. This is the knowledge of the science of parables. This is from the sciences of the realities. Like for instance, the sign language for people of special needs, those who are unable to hear, those who don't speak and don't hear. So you speak to them with signs. So these signs have meanings. Habib took a course that Awqaf prepared for him. They taught him how the science of sign language. It's a complete science. One movement is a sentence. This requires one to revise. So one movement will be a complete sentence. So the least you could do is just call to Allah with one sign. There are a group of people from the people of special needs. How do we call them to Allah? By the sign language. It is a complete science. So this sign in its outward, what does it, like a thumbs up mean? What does it? It has a meaning. And have a fist has a meaning, and two fingers have a meaning. Even pointing to the eyes have a meaning. Movement of the head has a meaning, or moving the head up, or nodding, or these all have meanings. Similarly, the pitch in one's voice has meanings, like how Sayyidina Sulaiman said, we've been taught the speech of birds. So each parable, each parable has a clear knowledge, but all of existence is a sign. So imagine how many signs are there. All of creation are signs, and you are what is intended. Every creation is a sign, and every movement of every creation is a sign, and every stillness of every creation is a sign, and in every sign there's a knowledge. So these knowledges, they never end. And you must understand the signs. So if you don't look at the signs, you'll have an accident. If somebody doesn't understand the signs, for instance, he doesn't understand the red signal, and he doesn't know that he's supposed to stop, and he carries on driving, he will crash his car. So you need to understand the signs. And he says, individuals able to discern this truth are those who understand Allah's desires. The one who knows what Allah's desire is understands the sign. How this comes through struggling against oneself to think about what pleases Allah. The least is you don't think about disobedience to Allah. In this day and age, if you can simply merely um, control your thoughts to not think about disobeying Allah alone, that will make you a wali. Because everything you wherever you are in this day and age, it's encouraging you to sin. Because where do those thoughts come from? From what you see and hear. And what do the eyes see? And what do the ears hear? And this is how a person will think. And are able to harvest the fruits of certainty from His scriptures. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal that He grants us an understanding of Allah and etiquettes with Allah, outwardly, inwardly. Oh Allah, we seek your forgiveness. We seek forgiveness from every thought that occurred to us in which we didn't seek your good pleasure, and we admit before you that we've thought so much about things that do not please you and that you don't love, that if those would be exposed to us on the day of judgment, it would be a big embarrassment for us. We seek your forgiveness and return to you. These were out of our ignorances and because of our minute thoughts, and we ask you to pardon us a sincere, a complete pardoning, such, and you protect our thoughts and you inspire us with thoughts that please you and you love, and the thoughts that will cause us to attain your love and your good pleasure for us, our children, our daughters, our sisters, our parents, and those who attended this lesson, and all those who are listening. O Lord of the worlds, we ask you to grant us etiquettes outwardly, inwardly, with what we're listening to and we're reading, and to accept our prayers and our fasting of Ramadan and all of the deeds that we did, and make us firm after Ramadan, and make us pass away in this deen in the best of ways after a long life with ease and well-being. Al-Fatiha. Habib was not able to do the lessons in Ramadan, not because of his own choice, but he had other responsibilities, and he prays that Allah does not deprive us of any of the lessons. Alhamdulillah for the blessing of lessons and their continuation. So, and based on the Habib's the translation link came late because there's some technical issues. Also, when we mentioned truthfulness in one's basira, it starts with dreams. Even it was for the Prophet ﷺ, and all the prophets, what they get in the beginning is what's called irhasat, and meaning they see dreams like the clear daylight, and they manifest during the day. May Allah not cut us off. Just merely making them present in your heart, the scholars, making present in your heart making present their spirits and their names in their heart. This is what is meant by connection. And then to intend what they intend, and act, and then act what they acted, or even if you know that they don't know you. The connection between the Shaykh and the Murid is a connection of the spirit. The reality is of the spirit. So for instance, some people attend. Some people they're not capable of meeting the sheikhs in the gatherings, but they see them in the dream and they say salams to them. That means the inward is more stronger. You chose this name correct. Everyone has a portion of the name that you choose. Fatima has attributes. So there's no person And that whenever a person's named by his father sincerely, then the person will take something of that name. Sayyidina Fatima has an infinite number of attributes, but you would take something from that.
محمد شبير، جزاك الله خير محمد شبير، تلميذة، هذا الله تلميذة، تلميذة، لأنه ما في ذات في اللغة العربية. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته، جزاكم خير. الأخت آسيا تقول جزاكم خير لدرس اليوم ما فاتنا حضوركم في رمضان، الحمد لله. يعني ظروف، يعني ولكن هي ذنوبنا، يعني مثل ما درسنا الآن يقول لا تنقلنا نفسك، هي ذنوبنا ونستغفر الله عز وجل.
Deprived of lessons from because of our sins, as we read in the book. Do not reproach except do not reproach except yourself. What helps us to attain good etiquettes with Allah even in our thoughts? So we know that what is good etiquettes with Allah. How do we attain this? We need to strengthen the muraqabah, outwardly and inwardly, to observe Allah. Secondly, to return to keep or to try to do the act of tafakkur, reflection, contemplation on the names of Allah Azza wa Jal. To do tafakkur, contemplation in the meanings of the dhikr that we're doing, and to occupy our minds with the meanings of the dhikr. So to reflect in a name from the names of Allah Azza wa Jal. So for instance, a person will say, today I will think about the name of Allah Al-Azim, Ya Azim, and he says, Ya Azim, Ya Azim, Ya Azim, and then he tries to connect this name with whatever he witnesses in this world. For instance, this water. From the greatness of Allah Azza wa Jal is that this water has no taste and no color, and our lives are connected to this, that Allah has created all life from water. So from the benefits of the lessons of Habib Umar that we followed in Ramadan, these were great treasures. So he spoke about the Habib Umar mentioned one of the benefits that Imam An-Nawawi said, that some of the ulama, some of the scholars, that Allah has created Allah has created all life from water. The meaning is the spit that you swallow, that if it wasn't for the spit, that you would die. Some people think that this verse is only about water that you drink, but this saliva that you have in your mouth, it didn't occur to us that this is something that we are direly in need of. Also, what helps us in having good etiquettes is to strive in expelling all thoughts that don't please Allah. We say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. So every one of us has a qareen or a shaitan with him, and so he will say, okay, so now you're going to think about things that will please Allah. I'm going to send an whole army of bad thoughts. So anyone who's trying to strive right now to purify his thoughts, he will start getting lots of bad thoughts, because the shaitan is going to bring thoughts from 20 years ago. So you don't give up. The more, and whenever a thought comes to you, you say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Even if it's a million thoughts, expel them, expel them. And remember the words of the Prophet of the Prophet when he said to Sayyidina Sa'ad, the Prophet the disbelievers were throwing arrows and rocks at the Prophet. Sayyidina Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas was a archer, and the Prophet said to him, cast or throw Sayyidina Sa'ad, throw Sa'ad, my parents be ransom for you. And he didn't have any arrows left, but so he didn't say, I don't have any arrows. He just followed the Prophet's orders, and he kept taking out arrows from his sliver, or what you call it. He kept taking it out, and they kept coming out, the arrows, as if it was a factory that produces arrows. And remember the words of Sayyidina Yusuf. He said, Ma'adallah, I seek refuge in Allah. Ma'adallah. But say it with your heart. Well, that is present with Allah. And from the greatest weapon that blocks the arrows of devils is to say Allah, Allah. So when Habib Umar tells us to say Ya Allah, you are basically arming yourself for the upcoming battles, the battles with the devils. So when he says Ya Allah, you say Ya Allah, you are building your strength. So when those arrows come, you have those that armament already ready inside of you, prepared inside of you. If I think about correcting a person who has done wrong to me, is that a bad thought? If I want to correct him only for my own sake because he hurt me, then it's not good. But if it's to advise him so that he is taken towards that which pleases Allah, that is good. But so, for instance, a person may be backbiting, but you forgive him, but he carries on backbiting. But he carries on backbiting, even though you forgave him. But the words that he's saying is something that Allah dislikes. So then you go and forgive and advise him. You tell him, look, I forgive you. I don't care whether you slander me or whatever. I forgive you. But whatever you're saying displeases Allah, and I don't want you to attain Allah's wrath. And if you go and advise him with this intention, then your intention is righteous. So the sign of heedlessness is not being present with an intention. Whenever an intention is absent, a person is heedless. Heedlessness is a big word. As Habib mentioned, not having an intention during an action is called heedlessness. So not having the intention present is called heedlessness. So also from the meanings of heedlessness is to not remember death. And so from the meanings of heedlessness is to not remember Allah Azza wa Jalla. So it has many meanings. So there are many questions coming in today.
هل تقول يعني مثلا شخص اسمه كذا لكن وضع زي ما بيقولوا النيك نيم أو الكنية في النت غير نقول مثلا.
Someone may have a name but they put a nickname on the internet. What does that mean? Is that okay? So that it not be a lie. If you put a name, so don't put a name that you don't write person, son of or daughter of so and so, son of so and so. Put an attribute like al-haya or al-wafa, or names that point to an attribute and not to a name. How can we act upon these etiquettes that we hear in the gathering? Sometimes we go through situations that help us or to bring about or prevent us from bringing to mind these etiquettes, and so what will help us to maintain the benefits of these gatherings? So to act even with one etiquette is a great good. A person may not be able to do all of the etiquettes in one moment, so he tries to do as much as he can. As Habib Allah says, fear Allah as much as you can. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal for enabling grace to do that which pleases Him. Al-Fatiha.